Please, we need to get started. We're on air. Good morning, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Mutual Benefit Corporation. It's Tuesday, June 5th. Of course, it's 9:30. I will call this meeting to order. Make a few housekeeping things. Take your phone, please. Put it on vibrate or turn it off, please. Also, if you have a drink, please make sure it's covered. That should do it. We have two directors on vacation. Diane Phelps is in Scotland. However, she's been communicating with me all weekend, so I don't know what kind of a vacation she's having. Working one, obviously. Ray Gross is in Laughlin with the Torrance Police Department's Alumni Memorial weekend. Everyone else is here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Everybody get their picture taken this morning. We're doing new pictures for the boards out there. So that's why all of us are dressed in our finest outfit today. Okay, let's get started. Pledge of Allegiance. Burton Aldell, would you please? Media, I see you back there. You cannot hide. Okay. Approval of the agenda. So moved. A second? All in favor of the agenda?
Oh. Okay, I just had the one change.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That handout we got, the amendment to the agenda for IT, the handout says number 9, but it'll be under new business 13B. Instead of 9.
13B will be, what is it?
IT department.
IT.
Chuck Holland, yeah.
Got it. Okay. And after that discussion, all in favor, the agenda with that correction? Opposed? Good. Carries, thank you. We have an agenda. Approval of the minutes.
I so move.
Second. Discussion. Secretary, Madam Secretary? No discussion? Without any further discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Point of order. Yes.
That was number 9, but it was supposed to be under VMS for tomorrow morning. It was not an addition to today's agenda.
Shouldn't be on there. Shouldn't be.
Oh, they handed it to us.
Well,
They said it,
it says Village Management Services addendum to the agenda, and it is number 9 on the agenda. He's speaking tomorrow instead of
okay,
It's not us.
they had this on our desk.
Thank-
Okay,
Thanks for,
Come to VMS tomorrow.
thanks for catching that.
okay, that confused us.
We're just testing, just a test. She passed. Thank you. Okay. Report of the chair. All right. A couple of things that are very, very important. I hope everybody here and everybody watching on television get out and vote today. Obviously, it's very, very important for all of us to participate in our democratic system. Please vote. Very important. With that, the fire over the weekend. Many of you probably saw it on the news, the Aliso fire. I got to give a shout out to Tim Moy and also to our IT department. I got notified real quickly on my phone. It was quite informative because I had things to tell people when they called me, what's going on. It was handled excellent work by our security department again, and the IT department that allows us to do that. So I really honestly appreciate that. I want to also today give a little shout out to Ernesto and his people. There's so many, as I drive around the village, I see it just looks better. Things are better. Landscaping's better. Buildings are better. Not everywhere, I understand that, but they are better. It is better, in my opinion. A lot of things are better. Things seem to be moving a lot smoother than they did a short year ago today for me and my board. And I appreciate everyone who's working with us and giving us guidance, suggestions to move forward and not to just pick and be negative. I get a lot of emails that are much more positive today than I did 6 months ago. For that, I'm very appreciative. A lot of people working very, very hard for all the residents in this community. So I just want to give a shout out to all of those people. Recreation has been amazing. We had, of course, the men's club had the Memorial Golf Tournament for the foundation, and last Friday I was told by the president that we actually have raised more money than we thought originally. So that's a good thing. That will be announced shortly. But we did add up better than we thought of the day of the tournament. And that money will go, of course, directly to the foundation and will assist the residents of Laguna Woods. Again, I'd like to thank the board members for working together as a team. As I mentioned earlier in my presidency, that was my main focus, and I'd just like to thank each and every one of you for working together as one. Thank you. VMS, update on VMS, item 7.
Good morning. I think on your agenda, I'm Dan Kenny. I'm not. Okay. I'm Lisa Bender, a member of the VMS Board. For those of you not familiar with the VMS Board, we were 9 members appointed by GRF and the mutuals. Our function as a board is to provide oversight to VMS management and staff on all issues related to employees and their productivity. We continually benchmark comp and benefits, monitor IT development, suggest and debate process improvements to customer service, among other issues. VMS board members, like myself, provide a report to our respective boards at their monthly meeting. Typically, I have talked about the progress of our 5 strategic goals, but not today because we are in the midst of reforming a new plan for the upcoming year. And at my last update, I spoke to what had been accomplished since we moved to self-management with our new agent, VMS. If you want to see that, I'm on YouTube. Who knew I would get my 15 minutes of fame on YouTube? Rather today, I want to introduce you to some VMS star employees, and they will end up on YouTube as well. Every quarter, nominations are sought from the management team, fellow employees and supervisors to recognize employees that have gone above and beyond to receive the Recognition of Excellence Award. These awards recognize employees who have shown excellent customer service and have demonstrated a high level of performance. I have 7 of these employees with me today, and I want to introduce them to you and those watching at home. And first, I'm going to call up, Cheryl Silva. She's not here. She's on vacation. We let employees go on vacations occasionally. Is she calling in every day? Okay. Okay. Now I'd like to introduce Carolyn J. and Kimberly Fullerton. And they received their award for customer service. Every Laguna Woods Village resident and VMS employee enters the leasing office at some point in time, whether seeking an ID card or submitting a lease application. Every customer is received with hospitality and given the quality time necessary to accomplish their objective. Carolyn and Kim, each with a ready smile, meet and greet 55 to 65 times a day, people coming into resident services. Their secret sauce is joy. Okay. With 35% of the units in the village subject to annual lease agreement renewals, these ladies know how to hustle. As board policies change, they must flex to explain the changes and rationale for the changes in a way that is enthusiastic and supportive of the boards. They're an extension of you guys. These staff persons recognize the need to act as ambassadors for the board and to explain sometimes unpopular rules in a way that is firm but respectful of divergent opinions. Of course, everyone, including realtors, old and new members, investors, short-term vacationers, have an opinion. Irrespective, Carolyn and Kim thank every customer for wishing them to come in and to say good day. Yay. Thank you.
On behalf of the GRF Board, thank you very much for your service.
Myrna. Okay, this is Myrna Wesper? Wesper, okay. Myrna was instrumental with the HRIS payroll implementation from source to Dayforce and has done a great job of assisting the human resources area. Dayforce is a payroll and time management system that has been long overdue in the village. And the whole HR team, particularly Myrna and her colleague, who you'll meet in a minute, were very, very important in ensuring that this very important system went in with a lot of accuracy, because you don't want employees who don't get their paychecks, right? You don't want them at your door. Okay, she's very resourceful in finding solutions to payroll issues and is professional in communication with our vendors. Myrna has taken many of the Dayforce training courses and helped the staff with the new process. Oh, you're a pleasure to work with. Thank you, Myrna. Okay, did Juan Placentia and Juan Hernandez come in? Yay! Come on, come on, come on, come on. Thank you. Okay, these are two people from our carpentry staff. They are recognized for their professionalism, their quality workmanship, but foremost, their desire to provide outstanding customer service to members of our community. Juan and Juan treat every member they interact with as family, and family deserves nothing but the best. Juan and Juan are both kind and courteous when approached by coworkers, management, and/or members. Their willingness to step up despite the challenges, they are persistent on accomplishing the projects, such as mailroom renovation and restoration projects as scheduled in a timely manner to ensure that the disruptions to the members are minimal. Without Juan and Juan, involvement, craftsmanship, and can-do attitudes not be able to accomplish the many renovation progress that are planned yearly. It's not too painful, is it? No. Okay. Okay. They have the ability to turn a difficult situation into a positive experience for the member by showing the true meaning of exceptional service. So thank you very much. Thank you.
On behalf of the entire board, I'd just like to say thanks to all the members that we recognized this morning. I too believe now that the employees are even happier than they were under the last administration. And I know that's very, very important to all of us. So again, thanks for your efforts on behalf of the residents.
I'm not done.
Okay. No, I know you're not done.
Okay, Tom,
I was
I
just
just
telling
want to be
them.
clear. Okay, not done. Okay, so Marcy Bavaro. But I appreciate the kind words to everybody. Marcy has done a great job helping the HR team and was also instrumental in the AHRIS payroll implementation from source to Dayforce, which began last June. She's provided instruction to employees on the Dayforce process and delivered excellent customer service to everyone. Marcy is very professional and worked tirelessly on the timekeeping issues and involved with training of all staff using the system. She set a good example for the team, provided effective communication, and developed working relationships with management, vendors, and employees. Marcy is always willing to take on additional responsibilities and is very resourceful in accomplishing results. Thank you so much, Marcy. Okay, I have one more employee to share with you, and that's Jim LaPierre, the guy in the uniform. That uniform. Thank you, Jim. Okay, on April 16th, Jim was assigned to his regular position, and he was dispatched to take photos for a compliance check in Block 13. What's Block 13? A notorious place, okay. It's a different address system than I'm used to. Okay. Supervisor Dan Laurie also responded due to the past aggressive behavior by one of the involved residents. This resident exited his manager while LaPierre and Laurie were still in the area. The resident was animated, waving his arms, and yelling about community rules and regulations. They should have come to the GRF board, right? LaPierre, Jim, calmly took control of the situation and thoroughly explained the compliance process to the resident, who eventually calmed down. Jim's calm demeanor and verbal skills were the proximate cause of de-escalating the situation. Jim should be commended for performing his skills and his duties with outstanding efficiency, for excellently representing the security department and VMS in general. Jim diffused a potentially volatile situation while providing excellent customer service. Thank you. Okay, I want to say congratulations to all of you and all the other employees who have just received the Award of Excellence. And finally, residents have the opportunity to also provide some positive feedback to our employees. If an employee does something unexpected that you value, please take a minute to write a kudos card, which I thought I had with me, but I don't. They're at the front desk. I dropped. Thank you. Okay, they are available at the front desk and elsewhere in the village. And here are some things that our residents have said about our employees. And I won't read the whole 2 pages, but Maria Romero, she's a hard worker and extremely thorough and detailed. She is quiet and very friendly. Everyone here has a nice thing to say about it, and she is the best we have. This one I loved. When I entered the elevator, this is from Lee Crank. When I entered the elevator to access my condo, my entire set of keys fell between the floor and elevator, down a shaft about 6 feet. I was distraught, as you can imagine. Little did I know that I was about to meet a hero named Lee Crankle. He had a can-do attitude, and there was no doubt he would recover my keys. He rigged up a tool, which consisted of a broom, coat hanger, and tape, and got on the floor and went fishing. He caught my keys on the first try. I was astounded. I cannot thank him enough. I already knew I was fortunate to move to Laguna Woods Village a few months ago. But then to have Lee on duty at 11 p.m. and so willing to solve this problem was simply outstanding. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's a great story, huh? Here's another one. From Chun Choi. I locked myself out of my manor without my key. I called the security and the officer climbed up to my patio and opened my door from the inside. I appreciate this effort to solve my problem. And there's a couple of pages of this, and employees get to see these kudos that they get in what is a new outstanding employee newsletter that is done. How often is this done? Monthly done for the employees. So people appreciate being told that they do a good job. So keep those good comments coming. Okay. And remember that the mission of the employees of Laguna Woods is to ensure that Laguna Woods residents receive opportunities to enjoy the utmost in active senior living. Let them know when they do. And thank you. And remember, the boards are always looking for new members. Specifically, right now, we are looking for a GRF board member from Third Mutual. They're soliciting applications. So please come out and be part of this adventure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, thanks to all the employees for their excellent work on behalf of the residents.
They left. They went back to work.
That's a good thing. Okay, item 8, CEO report. Brad?
Thank you, Honorable President, members of the board, members of the community. It's always a pleasure to meet with you and to share things that are going on in the community, at least from a staff perspective. As your president mentioned, today is election day. There's 4 polling places in the village, clubhouses 1, 3, 4, and 5. And if you don't know which one you're supposed to go to, you can go online at ocvote.com and they'll let you know. And if that doesn't work, call down here and somebody will figure it out for you. We're always glad to help. We want everybody to vote and every vote to be counted. Thank you, Mr. President, for your comments on the fire. That is our code red system that we've only used a few times. If you remember, we had the gentleman who was suffering from some dementia that disappeared about a year ago, and we notified the whole community. And then we had the other incident, very unfortunate incident with the shooting, and we used it there. And so it's a seldom used tool, but we're using it in new ways. And here it was a much smaller group that we identified and notified. And it is my hope that down the road, we will even use that system for very routine items. You know, like there's a water main broke in your cul-de-sac, and just notify that cul-de-sac, it's going to be disruptive there. And so we're continuing to evolve our use of the tool to really get down to the neighborhood and cul-de-sac level rather than just for community-wide sort of emergency. So very powerful tool, and actually the use of it, as long as you don't make a phone call, for text, email, and phone call, or excuse me, not phone call, text, email, that's all free. Once you send the robocall, though, then they start billing you. So you probably won't get a robocall unless it's really serious. So just so you know, very powerful tool, and glad we had the opportunity to keep people informed using it. You might notice this building looks a little better. This weekend was our annual spring clean of this building, and so everything was power washed and windows washed and resealed the tile and just, shampooed carpet, and they just went through and got the place squared away. And we're doing that really at most of the clubhouses right now, going through and taking care of a lot of routine maintenance that needs to be done as part of the spring cleanup. Yesterday, we started the remaining. We've remodeled most of the gatehouses. We have 4 left, and we started yesterday on gatehouse 10. And you will see 11, 12, and 4 after that. And so it'll take a couple of months probably to work our way through that. But this is removing the dry rot, putting in a modern air conditioning, and getting those ready to accept the technology from the new gates and that whole gate arm process. So this is a preliminary step prior to actually installing the technology that will allow us to have secure gates throughout the village. So it's very important. I'm glad we're getting going on that. This is something a little bit different, but we're adding gates up at the maintenance area. That's really been, and we have millions and millions, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment up there that is virtually unsecured nights and weekends. And so we're adding gates up there to secure that, which is a good thing. And we're also, by the way, adding the gates that were promised for RV Lot B. So that's going to be happening. Probably the one downside to this are some folks who probably cut through there with their golf carts to get to the garden center. And so that on the weekends and after work hours, that won't be available anymore. So you can still cut through there during the week. Prefer you not do that unless you have to. But on weekends and nights, you won't be able to cut through there with a golf cart to get to the garden center over there. So just want to let people know that's coming. Number of projects going on right now. And I won't go through all of them, but certainly we're getting ready to kick in with the pickle paddle project. Pickle paddle. Can I call it pickle paddle? It makes it easier. Thus ending an 8-year journey for these 2 clubs, and I think we arrived at a very nice solution, and we're certainly pleased to be able to work with those 2 clubs and the community in general to get that done. And then again, like I said, a number of things going on at the clubhouses, a lot of small stuff and a couple of big ones. And then some smaller stuff over at Village Greens, doing some cleanup, carpet, paint, just some little things to make that area a little cheerier. And so that's ongoing. So Chuck advised me yesterday that we now have 25,000 online devices in the village. So that's quite a few, couple per household, which it's not surprising. A computer and a phone, or a smartphone, or maybe a couple computers. So lots of devices. Guess what? Lots of devices need lots of bandwidth, and so hence we're continuing with the deletion of the analog channels, or as we call it, the bandwidth improvement program, so that folks can get faster internet service and better TV reception. So all that's going on, and there's a number of projects, and I'm sure Chuck will touch on this tomorrow when he talks about technology at the VMS Board, to enhance our broadband operations, both including cable and internet, as well as TV6. So a lot going on there, and a whole bunch. There's so many tech initiatives going on right now. I'm not going to touch on them because I know he will tomorrow, and we'll send him to TV6 and have that presentation recorded and then put it on YouTube as well so everybody in the village can see that. But one of the things that, and I know it irritates some residents, they get used to doing things the way we've done them, but we added this queuing system downstairs. And this is really just a pilot right now. There will be a standalone kiosk that comes. It'll be a little easier to access rather than one on the desk. But it's an incredibly powerful tool in that now we know who's coming in, what are they coming in for, and how long are they waiting in line for each. There's no lines anymore, but in the past when they waited in line, we didn't know how long they were standing there. There was no way to measure that. Now we know from the time they come in to the time they're served, how long is it taking, what services are taking longer than others, how should we deploy our resources to minimize the wait time for residents. So all those sort of metrics are now available, so we can analyze our workforce and deployment. And I really applaud Chris and Chuck for breaking that out, and it's really a nice tool for us to provide better services to residents. Kind of some of the other things, and along a similar vein, is our work order entry system, which is being piloted in a number of areas. We're really ready to break that out now. Chuck will talk about that tomorrow. So basically, we want to make, our service a little bit like UPS. You can track it, you can comment on it, all that in real time, and you'll know where our worker is as he's approaching your house. So those kinds of things are very important. The other thing that we're piloting, and I know Judith has a meeting later this week in transportation, but the Plan-A-Ride software program, I don't know if it has an actual name. Chuck, does it have a name?
Right now.
Right now. Oh, I like that. Which is really maybe a misnomer, because right now you have to plan a ride. You have to call ahead 2 days, so it's really not ride now. It's ride in 2 days, but we didn't want to call it that. So our goal, and I think it's Judith's goal, certainly mine, is to take the plan out of Plan-A-Ride. Because you're there on Saturday, there's no bus service, you need milk, or you're out of dog food, it's a little too late to plan a ride. You need to be taken to the store and back. And so hopefully, if we get this all working right, you get the plan out and it's ride now, just like Chuck said. So that's very important. I think it's going to work really well, and we're very excited to bring that to the community, though there will be growing pains with that. And we recognize the two people who helped implement the HRIS. This was an enterprise level change. And if you remember all the hair pulling and the tension when we went to Dynamics AX and all the problems, this wasn't that kind of a magnitude change. And did anybody hear about it or have a problem with it? No, it's handled professionally by Chuck and his team, as well as HR and their group of professionals, and it's just implemented. And so I think it says a lot. It's something that the residents won't see because it's a little bit behind the curtain, but it will make us much more efficient in so many different ways that it's a must-do. And then I want to talk about this one too, is the MDCs, which they call them something else now, but basically what it is computers in security vehicles. And so we piloted that, and so I think we just received 8 or 9 more of those. 13, there we go. Oops. And so those will be in every single security vehicle that's out there touring the village, and it will keep them in the field. So they won't go out to a call, then go back to the office, do the report. Out to the call, go back to the office. No, they'll be out in the field doing the report on their MDC, right in their car and ready to take another call. So I think the increase in efficiency is, and we haven't measured it because we're just starting, but it's probably going to be in the 40 or 50% range. So we're very excited to bring you that, and it's every police agency in the country has that, because you don't want to take an expensive mobile asset and turn it into a fixed post asset that doesn't bring much value. And that's what you do when you put these folks in an office. And so keeping them in the field, keeping them mobile, that's how you provide increased security with the same number of resources. And that's exactly the kind of thing we're trying to do. And then the other, I think, kind of cool thing we did is the cameras on the buses. We have a lot of people need a lot of help on the buses, and that sometimes there's slips and falls, sometimes there's conduct issues on the buses, and so having the cameras there lets us understand what's going on there and being able to respond appropriately to any issues that occur. I did want to comment a little bit on the Memorial Day golf tournament, or the Memorial Golf Tournament. That was great. And then also the Memorial Day event, and we had some wonderful performances by the Korean American Choir, the All-American Boys Chorus. We had Colonel Kevin Clark, who's representing the Marine Corps regiment that we've adopted here in the village. And so really I've heard more positive things about that event. I've probably got 20 emails on it. Wow, that was really great. People loved it, and I just want to thank everybody who helped make that happen. And we sent this out in the e-blast, and I have to say this with a caveat. Edison, Southern California Edison, your electric company, who is responsible for all the blackouts you have, by the way, is starting a big program to help alleviate some of that. And so it has to do with a lot of transformers and cables and communication devices and other things that are going to make their system better. Now, they were going to start, I think, this week. I think there's been some delays or something. So we're going to keep you informed. And Edison, it's their responsibility to communicate with you as their customer and let you know what's happening. But we're going to back that up with some communication of our own so you know what's going on. But it might be inconvenient for a while, but in the long run, it'd be less inconvenient than having your power out all the time. And so we look forward to them completing that work. Hey, we had a nice open house at the lawn bowling facility on June 2nd. I think that was, what a great facility. Boy, it really turned out nice. And so they had a lot of people there. Hopefully they have a lot of new players. You know, if I lived here, I think I might take up lawn bowling. It looks pretty fun, you know, and there's a lot of great people out there who really enjoy the sport. I did want to share also the Father's Day brunch is coming up on the 17th. I think we still have tickets available. That's at Clubhouse 2 from 11 to 1. I want people to take advantage of that. And I guess it's never too early to talk about the 4th of July. We're looking at a big event there, 4 to 9 at Clubhouse 2. We'll have a lot of vendors, ice cream, kettle corn, beer, wine, music, fun zone for grandkids and kids, fireworks show, and then we are providing shuttle service from Clubhouse 7 and the employee parking lot by maintenance. That's going on. And just a couple of quickies here. Pool 1, Clubhouse, Pool 1 and Clubhouse 1 patio furniture arrived last week. I went out and looked at it. It's great. I had a couple of residents say, well, where are those high ones that used to be out here? Well, they're on back order. They're more of an ADA type of chair, and they're coming. They just didn't have those in stock, so those will arrive. And then yesterday, and this is kind of a personal thing that I pushed, so I'm pretty proud of this, but we had our first indoor cycle class at Clubhouse 5. And so we have 84 residents signed up for 6 weeks, and a huge, huge waiting list. So we're going to go out and get some more instructors, and we're going to offer as many classes as residents want to attend. So I think it's a great cardio program. It's quite exhausting, actually. And so I'm so pleased that residents are going to get an opportunity to do that right here on site. And then Art Affair, that's tomorrow, right? June 6th, 2 to 6. And that's at Clubhouse 2. And I hope there's village artists, jazz, wine tasting. It says complimentary wine tasting. I probably shouldn't announce that, huh? They're going to be overrun. And then they'll have classes and demos, and it should be a really nice thing. I hope people will go to that. And then Thursday the 7th, now this is sold out, but this is a James Taylor tribute on the patio. I think this is at Clubhouse 1. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, is our 90s event where we celebrate and recognize residents who are over 90, and I think we still have some tickets there. And that is Tuesday, June 19th, Clubhouse 5. Tickets are still available. Again, we recognize I guess we'll call them super seniors, for lack of a better term, who are over 90. And it's a great event and some wonderful people, and I certainly suggest that residents get their tickets for that. So I'd close with, you've probably noticed that not only does the employee newsletter, our weekly e-blast, our new recreation blast, and the breeze all look a lot better than they used to and have much better articles. And I just want to compliment Eileen and her team, including Jackie Brown, who has a very famous name and is new here. Jackie, why don't you stand up? There you go. Jackie just started with us. She's our marketing content editor, and so she's looking at everything. And so if you happen to write an article for The Breeze and she makes some suggestions, I hope you'll listen to her. She's pretty good at this. And also Becky Jackson, which I don't see over there, but is also working very hard to improve communications with our residents. And Joan, I thank you for working with them and helping me select them, actually. And so we've really got a strong communications team here, and I look forward to providing much more and clear information to our residents. So with that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Man, that makes me tired just listening to you. There's so many good things going on. All right. Thank you very, very much. Very informative. Item 9, the open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, the speakers may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation. It's a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, and the speaker may only address the board once during this period. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum. Do we have the first speaker?
Chris Collins.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here to present a further update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village. Natural disasters are a fact of life in Southern California. In the news media, we read about the threats posed by earthquakes, fires, and flooding, as well as how they impact lives. In the past year, with village support, the Foundation has been able to go back to its roots. The Foundation was originally created in response to a natural disaster 21 years ago when extreme flooding hit the village. Today, the Foundation has been able to start a disaster relief fund, setting aside funds to help residents if a disaster should hit the village again, and it is our hope to increase this fund. In addition, with the assistance of the Village Disaster Preparedness Task Force and the Village Security Department, the Foundation has started a new pilot project and purchased earthquake kits for residents in need to be distributed by the Social Services Department. If an earthquake should occur, each kit can mean the difference between life and death. It contains such essentials as water, nutrition bar, flashlight, radiant blanket, and among other things. The information about applying and to see if you qualify can be obtained by contacting Social Services at 949-597-4267. The Disaster Preparedness Task Force, located in the community center, is open during the morning and has earthquakes available for purchase by all residents. You can reach the Foundation by phone, which is 949-268-2246, or by email, thefoundation@comline.com. Please visit our website as well as at foundationlagunawoodsvillage.org. Thank you so much.
Patricia DeLuna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My MANA number is 243F, and my name is Patricia DeLuna. I'm here to present you with a petition for our 7-day fixed route buses. Plan a ride will not work. May I please hand out our petitions to Judith Troutman, and to you, Sir President, and to Mr. Brad Hudson. May I do that? May I come forward and give it to you? Thank you. So, the President, and the Brad, thank you very much. I hope you will consider doing something for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your input.
Dawn Adder.
Don?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I would like to talk to the board about, have you ever had a guest enter on a guest pass? Would you raise your hand? Anybody else in the room? has done it? Great. What you didn't know is that once you let a guest in, if they don't have a current registration, you get tickets and fines. And I have talked to security, I've done everything I could, because that was my son's vehicle, and I don't own the vehicle. I can't go get it registered, it's not in my name, and now I've got $525 worth of fines. And if you're gonna enforce this policy, it needs to be enforced at the gate, not when the residents get in. 3 of these tickets were written by the same office. So, based on my experience, he was targeting them. And we shouldn't have that going on in our community anymore. So, I don't know what the board can do about this or anything, but the citation is really uncalled for. I have spent over 9 hours, and I work every day, of my time dealing with VMS, their security division. When I first presented it, the lady at the desk started yelling at me. And I don't put up with that, people. I'm respectful. But this was totally uncalled for. I never raised my voice. But I had to ask her to sit down and calm down because she was in my face. So I don't know what you're going to do about it, but I would have spent my address is 2114 Unit Q. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Maxine McIntosh.
Good morning, Maxine. How are you?
Good morning. Getting better every day, thank you.
Good.
But one thing I want to mention right away is since our esteemed president, Tom, brought up things looking up here in the village, I wanted to add to that since the last GRF meeting, I didn't keep track, but at least 4, maybe 6 people tell me how much they appreciate the courtesy of this board, the leadership of Tom Circle, that everyone feels they're being treated with respect, whether they're right or wrong. When they come up to speak, you're listening to them and you're trying to help them. I am so proud of this board to be able to share that. Thank you. Another thing is about volunteers. We know we use hundreds here in the village, but some people may be thinking about wanting to do a volunteer job outside. Where's my time? I don't see my time on here.
It's not Miss Maxine, I'll give you.
Oh.
You have plenty. You have like.
Phooey. Okay. Phooey, phooey.
Maxine, you know I don't worry about that.
Thank you.
Just-
Thank you. I've had an immediate member of my family in Saddleback Hospital for 10 days, so that's where I've been spending most of my life lately. And I started chatting with some of the volunteers, and they said they're short of volunteers over there. So if anyone's looking for a volunteer job outside the gates, please consider that. They wear really smart-looking Hawaiian shirts. They're very pleasant. They do a lot of good. And of course, like our volunteers here in the village, they save people money through their volunteer hours. So some of you might want to try that. I want to speak for a minute about Clubhouse 3. I know it's on the agenda, but I have to leave. I can't stay. And I just want to say that in planning the renovation of Clubhouse 3, it might be that it could be planned to renovate the middle part for performing arts activities, but keep all the meeting rooms intact. Because as you know, we are really desperately short of meeting room space. And we have the 2 good-sized dining rooms with kitchens if needed. And we have the rehearsal room, which is a good-sized room for meetings or entertainment. And we have the small conference room, which is good for some of those tiny meetings that end up over there. And that if you did that, then you would not be taking away meeting room space. When I moved here, we had about 200 clubs, and now I understand we have over 250 in the village. So we need more space, not less. I hope you will consider that. I'm remembering how last year you were considering a very expensive pickleball plan for a completely new location and so forth. It was really going to cost an awful lot of money. And you reconsidered that, and you very nicely trimmed it down to a gorgeous renovation where it's existing now. You're going to give them extra courts. It's going to be like brand new. And you've probably cut off hundreds of thousands of dollars in that budget. So when it comes to looking at Clubhouse 3, I hope you can do the same smart thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine, especially your beginning comments. I really appreciate it.
Michael Landry.
Mike Landry, 693B. Thank you for the job you guys are doing. As Maxine always tells you, I'm thankful that you guys do it, so those of us who don't have the time don't have to. I want to thank Brad for the gate to the RV Lot B. Is it bribery, considered bribery if I say that there might be a Cajun gumbo in his future? And my question also is, what happened to the firewood? We're away a lot, and so I didn't hear about that situation. We go camping, and we always go pick up a couple of logs to take camping with us, and so what happened already? Again, thank you for the gate, Brad, whenever it gets here, and thank you for the work you guys do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Carol Novick.
Actually, Carol Novick at 2373A. And I wanted to thank you also for the work. Things are getting much better around here. I appreciate the work GRF does. I'm here in defense of the emeritus classes. I don't feel that they should be eliminated. I don't feel the rooms at Clubhouse 4, for example, are utilized sufficiently by the residents, and I am a supervisor there from time to time, so I know that very, very few of the residents do use it, and it wouldn't be so terrible to take up some of the slots of time for classes. Classes of the quality from the college that we cannot get at any kind of reasonable price here if we were to do it on our own. And if we don't have classes here, the equipment, some of which has been supplied by the emeritus, would be greatly underutilized. And I think all this would be a great waste. I know I love the classes, and I think that new residents appreciate them. When we're in classes with people from outside, they listen to us about how much fun it is to be here, and many of them have been convinced to look for housing here. So I think it would be self-defeating to eliminate more emeritus classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Jan Enns.
Hi, I want to thank you all also. I'm Jan Enns, and I'm at 3181 Unit D. And I'm also here to speak about the elimination of 5 emeritus classes, and I know at least 2 of them are in Clubhouse 4. I'm a jewelry person, and the jewelry studio is unique, and it's better even than the one they have at Saddleback. And in order to use our room in off time, you have to know how to do jewelry. So the jewelry classes are important for anyone, for the residents to use the room. Classes, we have an older population. They're sometimes, you know, they get sick unexpectedly. Their husband is ill, their daughter is ill, and they have to take care of the grandchildren. They go on vacations. Plus, a lot of the younger of the older people that are moving in here are still working during the day, and they're not taking advantage of the classes that are in Clubhouse 4. One of the classes that's being eliminated in jewelry is the teacher is the only jewelry teacher who teaches fine arts. The other ones are metal workers, and they don't teach setting stones and that sort of thing. And it would really be a shame if more of those classes are eliminated. And if recreation wants to pay for a teacher, a master's level teacher like we have from Saddleback for 3 hours a week class, it's going to cost quite a bit of money, I suspect. Classes, the jewelry classes are limited in size to 25 by the fire marshal. That's my understanding. I know most of the teachers add more students because they know that many students are not going to be there every week. And it's difficult to know who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. And a lot of people drop out after a few classes because they realize how expensive it is to get supplies, to get their own tools, especially if you're working in silver. And it can be really expensive, and a lot of people drop out. I think many people, even the non-residents, as Carol mentioned, they want to move here because we are unique, because we have Clubhouse 4. And when we don't have classes, I go in, and many times there are just 2 of us in the jewelry room. It is just not utilized, and in order to utilize it, you have to have a class. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jen.
Doug Gibson.
Pardon me?
Doug Gibson.
Thank you.
Good morning, Doug Gibson, 5289. Just also would like to thank everybody for their efforts and everything else, but nice to know that we're going to get a security gate at the RV Lot B. There's also been some improvements at that lot, and there's some improvements happening at the RV lot up in the other area. We started slurring in our area, and the slurring is much better than it was 2 or 3 years ago, just looking at it from a layman's standpoint. So those are nice improvements. And I had 3 people in our neighborhood that went to the memorial service, and they just spoke so highly of it. I felt real bad that we hadn't had a chance to go in that area. The reason I'm actually here is that we had one of our residents go around and get a petition concerning getting a bench put down. And for you that may not be aware of it, there's a West Creek on the side of the north side of the village. And the West Creek is smaller, but it's an area for people to go down and sonder, watch birds, hold meetings on occasions and everything else. And it's kind of went into a little bit of state of disarray. And so the suggestion is, and we've gone through the Third Mutual Landscaping Committee and their committee to see also what can be done to improve the West Creek area by getting some of the stuff out of there. And Larry Hernandez immediately went down there and pulled out a couple of barbecues, and they started to really do something with the landscaping. But to get some benches there where people could sit as they're walking along there, somebody suggested to me that you need to put a proposal. And I'm here because I wasn't sure whether or not the proposal should come through GRF or should go back to Third Mutual. And actually, what is a proposal and what are you looking for in a proposal? So somebody can give me the answer of that. I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Barbara Copley.
Barbara Copley, 410D. I just want to talk about the scary situation this weekend with the fire. I woke up about 11 o'clock at night with so much smoke in my bedroom. I'm off Castilla. I get the westerly winds. And I was really frightened because I know historically there was a very near miss to Laguna Woods a number of years ago. And I couldn't figure out, so I got up and I turned on the TV, I turned on my computer, I got on the phone, I went outside, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And it was really heavy smoke. So luckily, later on that night, I left the computer on, the TV, and I did hear on television there was a fire, Lisa Viejo and so forth. So I do think I never got a phone call. There was no blast. Maybe some of you did receive some kind of a blast. But at other occasions, I have received very nicely what's up in the village or a blast or something. Nothing. This was very frightening because I thought, well, do I get my papers and whatever together? I mean, you just didn't know. So that is something that I would like you to correct. I don't care what time of night it is. Send out something. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. Thank you.
John Troutman.
My name is Jonathan Troutman. I'm at 3011B. I got two concerns. One of them is the buses. One of the buses I was on kept making noises, and it almost stalled a couple times. The other concern I have is the pedestrian gate. The IDs don't always work on either side. Does anybody have an answer to any of those?
We don't answer right now.
Okay, thank you.
No more speakers, that's it.
Okay. Everyone, thank you for your comments. We'll try to address them. Patricia, bus system, Judith, did you?
Okay, I might have to read part of my M&V report before people leave, just to address that. I won't read the whole thing. But in addition to these petitions, I had a whole bunch of letters, and there's always a letter in the Globe complaining about the buses. I want to dismiss one rumor. We have no intentions of getting rid of the fixed routes, number one. That we are going to keep them. But if you come to the meeting tomorrow, it's at 1:30 right here in this room. The things we're going to be talking about on the agenda, one of them is alternative transportation options for Route 1, 2, and the towers. And you might get some firsthand information, be able to talk directly to staff. And the other thing we're going to be talking about that involves you is the charter. And a charter is a document that defines the relationship between staff and the committee. And so we're going to define that a little bit better, and it'll help us work as a team. And I don't know if everyone can see 2 + 2 = 5. And no, I am not trying to be the new GRF treasurer, thank God that I can't add. But one of the things we need to do is work as a team. And the team members for transportation are the directors, the staff, the residents, and the bus drivers. So the residents are part of the transportation team. And we do that through a process called synergy. And synergy occurs when the total, which is 5 here, when the total or the whole is greater than the sum of the individual parts. So if you read any book on team building, they talk about synergy just about everywhere, and they use this expression, 2 + 2 = 5 or 6 or even better. So each one of us, might be great people and have great ideas. Staff has great ideas. The residents have great ideas. But we have to pull together as a team to get the best effort, because our individualness or private agendas is not going to make us successful. So we'll be talking about that a lot at the meeting tomorrow, and we do want to address everybody's concerns. And the buses, I think the ones that we're having trouble with are the ones that are reaching their 200,000-mile mark or the 7-year. Those are the ones that are on the grant. And we have to, because of the California grant, keep them operating for the 7 years of the 200,000 miles. So we're slowly getting rid of those. I think we have 4 left, and replacing them with the nice newer buses. But we'll check tomorrow. We'll ask at the transportation meeting about the maintenance of the buses and how that's going. And then I'll finish my report about the transportation earlier in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Annette, would you like to address the two? I had two.
I had Don Adler, and then basically, I didn't know about firewood, and then
Yeah.
basically Barbara Gottlieb,
Right.
and then pedestrian gate. Okay, so,
Is your microphone?
Microphone?
oh, I apologize. Okay, this was for Don Adler, the guest with tickets and fine that you spent over 9 hours on this. I'm going to give you my card, and I'd like to discuss this with you Wednesday at noon. If you're working on your lunch hour, that would be a perfect time. And I'll look into this a little bit because I have a few meetings set up. So by then I should have some information for you, okay? Thank you. And now it is enforced at the gate as far as that was a request. And then my other question for you is, does your son have an annual pass?
No.
Okay. I'll just give you this right now. So you've got it, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome, sir. All right, now the next one, Michael Landry about firewood. I believe that was discontinued. The firewood was discontinued, so it's no longer being offered. I don't know when exactly that happened. Let's see, Barbara Gottlieb, the security, about the fire and the smoke in the bedroom. I'm going to read you a little bit from my report, okay, to let you know what's going on in the background, because I know that you were concerned, and I can understand your concerns, but perhaps it didn't rise to the level of being sent out yet. So I'm going to tell you what we do, even though you don't, you didn't see anything. The Aliso Viejo fire tracking. During this past weekend, fire in nearby Aliso Viejo, Laguna Beach, we were actively tracking the 150-acre fire in the event the village would be impacted. Evacuations were initially ordered for residents in Laguna Beach and Aliso Viejo. Chief Moy was in contact with the Sheriff Watch Commander. He was receiving updates from the County Emergency Operations Center, and he was coordinating with the executive team in case an incident management team was needed. So all of that was going on, and we can understand your concerns, but it was all being monitored behind the scenes, and there was not, they decided they didn't need to act. Now, it might have been a little closer for you. Where I live, I know it wasn't, there really wasn't impact other than, of course, the smoke, but, that's nature, that's a fire. That's my answer for now, but I will talk to the chief about it when I do meet with him this week. And for Jonathan Troutman, concerning the pedestrian gate, we need a part for that. I don't know if that part has been in. I'm going to meet with the chief on Wednesday, so I will talk to him and see if it's been ordered and if there's any complication on that particular thing, okay? As far as that goes, there you have it. Thank you.
I would just add, Barbara, call security immediately when you have a question about a fire. Please. If they don't know about it, then we got a bigger problem than that. I think they knew. Just next time, just call them up. They're there. Ask for the watch commander. What's going on? I got smoke. And I'm sure they would have answered it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Bert.
That's very
I'd just like to clarify about the firewood. There's been sufficient concern within the community about sparks and things with regard to firewood. We try to discourage, in fact, I believe we do not want people burning wood in their fireplaces. And that's one of the main reasons why we've discontinued giving free wood.
Thanks, man. You're absolutely right. Okay, let me see here. Who? Let's see. Maxine and the renovations of Clubhouse 3. Go ahead. Go ahead, Beth.
I really wanted to start out with Lisa Bender and say thank you, Lisa, who's not here right now, but thank you so much for bringing in some of our staff that has received this recognition. Laguna Woods Village is the community, the people out there, as well as the boards. And we see one another, but we don't see the entirety of the staff that much. And I'm so happy to see the third part of what makes this community. And those folks, our staff, work so hard and they're doing so well. So thank you, Lisa, for that recognition for them. And the second thing I have to say to Maxine is, hang in there. We're working on making sure we have meeting rooms there in the Performing Arts Center, as well as looking into where else we can put meeting rooms so that we won't have lack of meeting space. That's something that we're definitely looking into and working on as we go along. And the last one, well, I've got two more. Both do not really have to do with me, but where is the West Creek? Where is the West Creek area? I have no idea where that is.
Inside gate 11 or Jim?
Jim, go ahead.
On the one area of gate 11, I think it's on the actually on the north end. When it rains there, all this water ends up down in this particular area, and there's a huge, I guess a little trench there that's about, I'd say 30 feet wide and probably 15 or 20 feet deep. It's really quite, and all this water drains out. And with a real heavy rain, it can be 4 feet deep in there, and it goes and dumps down and exits and goes someplace else. And staff has up on top, plus also there's the El Toro Water District has a sewage disposal plant there. I think that's what it is. And so there's a road going along this big drop-off area and back to the El Toro Water area. Well, along there, the road, staff has gone in there and planted plants and so forth, but usually that's a real mess. Plus down in that gully there, the grass and little bushes and things get about 4 or 5 feet tall. And it's a real mess. Occasionally, staff actually came down and thinned out that area not too long ago. So I know my friend back there, I'll talk with him and see what exactly he wants to do. So.
Thank you.
One more thing.
Now, Richard, you'll assist him with that, is that? Thank you.
Okay. My one more thing is the fire emergency, Barbara. And I think Brad mentioned that we were able to have that communication piece in place. And I know those of us on the board did receive that. And Brad did say that's something that we'll be working with, and Chuck's going to be updating and getting it to be more far-reaching. And the hope is that we'll get to all the members in the community, as well as to keep us updated. We were advised of it, but didn't get an update all night long. So I know that this is something that's a work in progress, and thank you for bringing that up, because it is something that will be a really good tool in the future. Thank you, Barbara.
Beth, I have a question. Last year, or even farther back, in the preliminary plans for Clubhouse 3, one of the dining rooms was going to be turned into a lecture room, and they're still going to do that, because they're going to upgrade it with 100 seats, take out the kitchen, make the room longer, and put a little stage. Is that still going to be a lecture room? Because that would be a perfect meeting room. And so
that's it. That's the whole
better.
idea. That will be, and then on the other side, which is where meeting room 2, I think is the right number, will still be in place. So, I mean, it's not like we're cutting out all meeting rooms. I don't know why
just making them better.
That thought is there, but we're keeping meeting rooms there in Performing Arts Center, as well as looking and seeing, this is going to be a concern. We're increasing the number of clubs. We need to think about that, and we are looking for more areas where we can have club meetings. Thanks for mentioning that, Judith. He's got a question for me.
Yes, Bert.
From publications, I've been led to believe that the reason that we have discontinued emeritus programs has been the lack of meeting rooms. And I'm just curious, why then are we discontinuing programs at Clubhouse 4 where these are not usable as general meeting rooms, but they're very specific to the art that they provide?
All of that is taken into consideration. We don't have enough rooms, period. They've been working on this for some
I
time.
know that, but these rooms are not usable for anything else but. They're not general meeting rooms. They're
So what are
very,
you saying? The Clubhouse 4 is for crafts, right?
That's correct.
what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah,
so, but we're discontinuing emeritus programs that use those rooms.
Oh.
And I don't understand that.
I don't understand that we're doing that. I know that what we're doing is we're saying these rooms are available for emeritus classes to use. That, I know that that's the direction that we are taking. And I know emeritus classes are in every one of the classrooms in Clubhouse 4.
Okay, then I think what we need to do is find out why these specific classes were discontinued. Because obviously it has nothing to do with the lack of space.
Yes.
It has everything to do with lack of space. And
It does.
the committee has been working on this for some time.
Well, I know that, but you could not use that jewelry room for anything else but.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, jewelry room is a big concern.
So
Thank
why
you.
was,
Yes.
why was it discontinued is what I'm
Yes,
asking.
thank you. We'll talk about it.
Okay,
It's a long discussion.
right?
That's about it. Did you want to address? I didn't think so. The gate renovations, that's all I have. Anybody else?
I just want to
Judith?
say, I did get an alert, a red alert on my phone. So I think, like you said, it doesn't cost that much. And I don't think and you live closer to where the fire was than I do. I live at gate 7 and I didn't get any smoke, so I don't know, would have to talk to someone.
We made an alert to all the officers of the boards. We did not alert the entire village because we did not think the threat was imminent. But this is great feedback for as we kind of strengthen our policies and procedures moving forward.
That helps answer that.
But again, I will remind all residents, anytime they have an issue in the middle of the night, please call the watch commander at Security Department. If he or she can't help you, then we got a bigger problem. But call them, alert them, and they will respond appropriately, I'm sure. Yes,
Okay.
John?
I agree with Siobhan. The problem is that, we get panicky if we smell smoke, and we don't always know where it's coming from. And so anytime there's smoke around, I think that or a blackout or whatever, we need the warning. And even if it's maybe television, TV6 can do it. If people will turn their TVs on if we don't turn the computer on or don't have one. So just a thought.
Understood. This is great feedback for as we prepare for the next event.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else have any responses to the community? Okay, then we'll go on to item 11, consent calendar. Committee appointments. All matters under the consent calendar considered, of course, routine and will be
President
enacted by
Circle.
the board. And those are.
President Circle.
Oh. I didn't realize we had one more.
In response, John Frankel, 3473A, in response to Doug Gibson's comment about benches as a recreation item in West Creek, I suggested, Jim, that he come to the M&C meeting on the 13th. And I believe that benches will be a GRF responsibility.
He is going to head that up.
And so he wrote it down.
Him and Richard are going to deal with that. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Consent calendar. The committee reports. We don't need to read them, do we? New business. Item 13. Entertain a motion to approve a resolution for new logos for Channel 6 television station. We have the resolution. Okay. 13. 13A. Okay, thank you.
Resolution 90-18-XX, Broadband Village Television and Media 55 logos. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, GRF, hereby accepts the recommendation of the Golden Rain Foundation Media and Communication Committee, and whereas the Village Television and Media Services 55 logos were not in compliance with village branding. Now therefore be it resolved, June 5th, 2018, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the new Broadband Village Television and Media 55 logos, and resolved further that the logos previously adopted are hereby superseded by this resolution, and the revised Broadband Village Television and Media 55 logos are adopted to the extent that they differ, and resolved further that the logos of the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move we accept this resolution.
Second. Jim, any discussion? All in favor of the resolution? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 14, committee reports. We're going to begin with the Finance Committee. Annette Sewell is going to handle that. Annette?
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to do the slides first.
Annette.
I'm just waiting for the slide. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Slide 1, financial report, the income statement. Through the reporting period of April 30th, 2018, the total revenue for GRF was $14.2 million compared to expenses of $13.4 million, resulting in net expense of $800,000. All right, and then slide 2. The next chart shows activity and operations separate from reserves after backing out depreciation, which is not funded through operations. We can see bottom line, we had an operating surplus of $253,000 through April. On slide 3, please. When comparing these results to budget, GRF was worse than budgeted by $79,000. The most significant unfavorable variance was attributed to the trust facilities fees, $227,000. This transitional period of fee changes, increasing from $2,500 to $5,000 for new escrows opening after January 1st, 2018. Receipts in the first quarter primarily reflect prior year escrows closing at the lower fee amount. The current month ran a slightly favorable variance. Although revenue came in lower, we did experience a favorable offset in these categories. Employee compensation, we had lower medical expenses and fewer non-union retirement contributions than budgeted. And professional fees, lower audit and tax fees. The engagement for 2017 financial audit was negotiated at a lower rate than budgeted. Slide 4, thank you. On this pie chart, we show the non-assessment revenues received to date of $14.1 million by category, starting with our largest revenue-generating operation, broadband services, followed by trust facilities fees, golf operations, and so forth. These revenues help offset operating costs, and keep the assessments down. Slide 5, please. Expenses to date of $13.4 million are also shown on a pie chart, with our largest categories being compensation, cable TV, insurance, and professional and legal services. Slide 6, please. The reserve and contingency fund adjusted balances are shown on slide 6. Starting with the first column on the left, the funds show a combined ending balance of $27.6 million. Included in this total is contributions received this year through assessments, trust facilities fees, and interest earnings. A second column shows the works in progress of $4.3 million, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet complete. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balances of $23.3 million. Slide 7, please. In an effort to give you more meaningful information on GRF reserve expenditures, we've added slide 7, a summary of our detailed reserve expenditures report. Column 1 shows we had appropriations of almost $20 million approved as of April 30th, 2018. Included in this figure are all 2018 capital plan items and supplemental appropriations, as well as amounts approved in prior years that were carried over for completion. This figure will increase as GRF approves supplemental appropriations during the year. The second column reflects expenditures and is entitled ITD, or incurred to date. This is what has been paid since funding was approved. We can see that just under $7 million has been booked as of April 30th, 2018. This figure will increase during the year as expenditures are made. The final column shows $12.9 million, the remaining encumbrances. This is the amount approved by the board that is not yet spent for open projects. That's it for the slides. I hope the additional information on our reserve expenditures is helpful. I remind you that much more detail is provided in the GRF Finance Committee meeting agenda packets, which are available online and at the GRF Finance Committee meetings. We did not have a Finance Committee meeting in May, but the treasurers from GRF, United, and 50 met to discuss mutual issues and concerns and to meet with Siobhan Foster, our new Chief Operations Officer. Steve Parsons, third mutual treasurer, was unable to attend. Please note, there has been a change in our next scheduled finance meeting. Instead of being on Wednesday afternoon, it will be on Monday, June 18th at 9:30 a.m. in the boardroom. Topics on the agenda may include RV lots, an update on projects and money spent, trust facilities fee loan, the administration charge and prepayment option, electric vehicle charging station, the rates, reserves, addressing the questions raised in letters to the Globe editors. That's it for the Finance Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. B, report of the Community Activities Committee. Beth Barrett.
Thank you. Brad, our CEO, reported a lot of what's been happening with us with community activities. So he saved me telling you a lot of the specifics. However, a couple of things that are really important. There are 15 garden plots available at this time. Also, there are some tree plots available. Check with the Recreation Office if you're interested. And several people mentioned the Memorial Day Armed Forces happening, and the Armed Forces Adoption Committee was responsible for putting that together. And this is a little brochure about the Laguna Woods Armed Forces Adoption Committee. And you can find this brochure in the Recreation Office, and they are looking for volunteers to work with this group, doing good things through the 1st Marine Division at Camp Pendleton. 180 folks participated in the men's golf tournament. And that was a really wonderful, wonderful happening. And they raised, I don't know, Tom said, we're still counting the money. It's plus 13, it's over $13,000 to give to the foundation, which means then the foundation has that to give to our neighbors who are in need. 30, not 13, 30, over 30,000. Whoa. Wonderful, wonderful. We mentioned James Taylor has been sold out. The June 30th, there's a horse show serving Chick-fil-A. You might want to look into that. And of course, the 4th of July is going to be even bigger and better this year, I hear. So please do check into that. Come to that. The new fitness classes with cycling, Silver Sneakers. If you're a Silver Sneakers member, your insurance will pay for that. Equestrian Center has gone to the summer hours. And we had a presentation about disc golf, which is a new thing that a number of us had never heard of. And the community member who brought that to our attention is going back and gathering more data to see if he can come back to us again to CAC to run by us the ideas of having possibly a disc golf group here in the village. Our next meeting is July 19th. We meet every other month, so July 19th at 1:30 here in the boardroom. Thank you.
It says,
I know it says July 12th. It's been switched to the 19th. Thank you, Judith.
okay. M&C, Jim Mattson.
Okay, thank you. M&C, we currently have 33 items on our project log, and each month some get completed and are taken off and new ones are added. And so we recently had a couple completions. One is at Clubhouse 7. There's a new kitchen, and the floors have been recarpeted in where they play the bridge. And the dance floor has been sanded and resurfaced, and it looks really nice. They did a great job in there. So that building has really been upgraded. Also, Pool 4 is now has been completed. I think it's open, and they did a wonderful job over there with that pool. It's really very impressive. We're also starting some new work. And one of them, of course, is the pickleball activity. And what I'd like to do is read what Ernesto gave me. The contractor, we awarded a contract. We do have a contractor. Contractor is preparing the plans and specifications to be submitted to the city building department for permit. Dependent upon permit issuance, the contractor is scheduled to begin construction on the pickleball courts at the end of July and complete the project by early October, a couple months, July, August, September, okay. Currently, there are 4 courts which will be converted into 7 with this job. With a gathering area, half the courts will be furnished with lighting for evening play. Now, myself and Ernesto got a little abbreviated memo from the president of the pickleball wanting us to add a few little small things to make it a lot easier, and some electrical outlets and other areas around so they can use those. And talking with Ernesto, sounds like we'll be able to work that in with this contract. Actually, we're going to, we have a current contract, but we'll have a little second smaller contract to do these changes. Also, there's another thing on the lawn bowling. You know, the people wanted those trees taken down. Well, we do. We found someone to do that job, and at our next M&C meeting, which will be next week on Wednesday, 9:30, I think, in the morning. This will be one of the jobs that the M&C committee will review and hopefully award a contract to take out those, I think they're going to take out 4 of those big pine trees. On the Performing Arts Center, at our meeting, there's going to be a presentation also. Staff is going to present the results of a value engineering effort at our meeting. The preliminary project costs were carefully analyzed, and a menu of options were prepared to bring the project costs in line with board direction. What we did at our last meeting. And on this gate renovation, boy, our boss over here really covered the everything and everybody. But the gate renovation project has begun, and work has started on gate 10, as he said. And until all 4 gates of this particular area, the package will be done. We're also going to be doing 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9, I think, in other contracts. Also at our meeting, a couple of things staff is going to propose to us as far as a contractor to start work. And one's called the Passive Park. That's a small area, 90 feet by 90 feet, which was the old, not lawn bowling, but shuffleboard, where they had that. And that thing was just been deserted for years. And so anyway, we may make a little park out of that. And also the community center here, HVAC system. Staff is going to make a recommendation to go ahead and do that job. It'll be a big unit up on top of the roof here. Like I said, next meeting will be Wednesday, June 13th, which is next Wednesday of next week. And thank you.
Thank you. Beth, do you have anything for the PAC?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our last meeting was in March, and so we do not have another meeting scheduled, but hopefully in the next month or 2, we will have. I wanted to say something about that passive park. That's something that we started talking about several months ago. And that area is such a pretty little area, and we don't have any decisions on what to do with it. And so the decision was to make it be a quiet, pretty place to go and sit and look at the view, maybe, sip your coffee and look and enjoy the area. And I'm sure that some boards on down the line will say, we're going to build XYZ here because it's a great view and we need this, and the buildings that we have that video lab and whatnot are down there. Maybe they will incorporate something with that down years from now. But that passive park is something that's not an expensive piece to put together, and it will be a nice addition for our community.
Yeah, let me add one thing to that. And going back to 2011, when we were building the Village Greens building, that took that whole year. It started in January 1st and had open house on December the 11th, I think it was. At that time, at the north end of Clubhouse 2, they have these little club rooms there. And one of them was converted into a little snack bar. And one of the things on the menu was hot dogs with all the condiments. And then they had this little sitting area outside. And I remember myself and some of the other directors at that time would get ourselves a hot dog and a drink, Coke or something, sit out there, and then we enjoyed that in that area. And that's a very nice area. The view is excellent. Until something better comes along, that'd be a good use of the property.
Okay. Item D, meeting communications, Director Milliman.
Media and Communications met on Monday, May 21st. And so we have several reports from Mr. Holland. Our first report was on broadband, an update regarding the account of total expenses. So he reported on total expenses and net revenue, and compared to figures from 2017, he stated that the corporation is doing better than expected. Mr. Holland also gave a report on subscriber counts. He gave an overview of subscriber counts, set-top boxes, pay TV, international channels, and high-speed internet. Subscriber counts are increasing as we sit here. More and more set-top boxes are flying out into the community. He gave, Mr. Holland continued with a report on analog and HD TV channel changes, covering again what channels will be covered by the digital device only and the timeline. Interesting update is in the library, we have some new tablets in there. And these are intended for web browser research, and Mr. Holland explained that there's no decision to install a printer yet, but we don't know. Anyway, it's a place where residents can do research, and the tablets are very easy to operate. You simply turn them on, and they're pretty much self-directed. I'm sure Anita has some comments on that, but later. Mr. Holland then presented the agenda for contract renewals, programming costs year-to-date, and explained that NBC Universal contract's coming up. It'll expire soon. And there's a budget for a 10% increase, but they expect it to be larger, and there will probably be some negotiations going on with that. Sorry. You've already been updated on our new addition to the faculty, I'm sorry about that, to staff, Jackie Brown, who's taking Heather's place, and she has excellent credentials and is already catching up on the work that we have to do. Ms. Poland reported on the docent tour attendance and schedules of which have been changed now. There's one docent tour only on Thursdays every month, and the fourth Saturday of the month from 9 to 11. She explained the cutbacks have been due to staffing issues, and they'll be revisited in about 6 weeks. There's also going to be a brochure that will accompany the tour, which everyone will enjoy, I'm sure. New resident orientation, Ms. Poland explained that the video will be at the resident. Try that again. At the orientation will be no more than 5 minutes, and some of the topics that will be included will be the key file program, transportation, manor alterations, insurance, and the rules. And Ms. Poland explained that correspondence from all the departments was not meeting our branding standards, so it's being reviewed and changed somewhat so that department flyers, slides, posters, and correspondence to the residents will have a similar look. News topics are going to be categorized and disseminated as follows, and you'll see these on your computer. Monday will be maintenance. Wednesday will be recreation and clubs. And Friday, community news. And she warned against email fatigue if there's too much out there, but I think you'll find it interesting to be able to look at categories on Monday or Wednesday or Friday and discover the news that way. Ms. Poland, regarding club publicity, Ms. Poland reported on the feedback recommending that Marketing Communications, or MARCOM, does not get involved in promoting club events, and should review the policy currently in place. Another thing that MARCOM is going to be doing, is to create a digital template for clubs to use for their flyers, if they wish. I mean, clubs have their own flyers, but again, it's the look. It's the look, guys. For future agenda items, we're going to be looking at overlapping of information from GRF and from the mutuals in hopes that we can cut back on staff time. We don't want to duplicate things. So that's going to be our next big issue. Let's see. We had reports from Thrive and the Breeze. All I can tell you is everything's going fine. Ms. Pollen presented having the Breeze printed in black and white, proposed it possibly to reduce the cost associated with printing because more and more people would like to have it in print. So we're considering that. The cover would remain in color, but they're going to research the costs. That's pretty much it. Our next meeting will be Monday, June 18th, here in the boardroom at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you. E, Report of Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Director Troutman.
There was no meeting last month of the M&V Committee. We meet on the first Wednesday of even months. So tomorrow, June 6th, is our next meeting, 1:30, right here in the boardroom. And the agenda items for tomorrow are our normal Transportation Manager's Report. We're going to show a little video demonstration of how we load wheelchair into the Plan-A-Ride vans, and you'll see how long it takes. So we're encouraging more people with wheelchair to call Plan-A-Ride because you can see how long, when we take a bus with a ramp on it, it cuts into the schedule time of the fixed routes. So you'll see how well that works and how safe the wheelchair users really feel in the vans. They're also going to talk about the valuation of alternative transportation options for routes 1, 2, and the towers. So it's going to be real important that Towers residents come to that meeting. We're also going to talk about the charter, which is one of the most important things for me. And a charter, as I mentioned, by definition, is a written document created to define the relationship between two or more parties. It mandates the rules by which each party will operate and function together as a team. The charter puts in place, that were put in place in prior boards with the old management system, were hard for VMS to follow. So our goal tomorrow is to put together a charter of mandates that will not only will staff be able to follow, but one that they want to follow. We need this because we have to work as a team, and that's very important. And as I mentioned, the residents are a very important part of the team. The residents, the directors, the bus drivers, and the staff. So we include the bus drivers as part of our team because their feedback is imperative. And it's a first-hand account of what's working and what is not. If we don't include them, we will rarely be successful and get 5 out of 2 + 2. So how do we build that successful team? And I talked about that earlier. So we're not going to get a real favorable result, which is more than the sum of our individualness or our private agendas if we don't work as a team. Again, I want to dispel the rumor we have no immediate plans to do away with the fixed routes at this time, and it'll be at least 5 years, so I hope people will stop saying that. And then as Plan-A-Ride becomes more and more popular, we will be adjusting the fixed routes as the Plan-A-Ride demand increases. So if you come tomorrow morning, we'll be talking about the future plans and any changes that we're going to have. Last year, where we went wrong, the changes were not communicated enough, and I'm glad Eileen is here. And that was one of the big complaints. We do have on the buses a monthly, I guess they're calling it a monthly newsletter. And what I'm used to right here at the top, it would give the month. The May's did not give the month, so I'm hoping Eileen to bring that back. And I apologize, there was no June newsletter as of yesterday. They weren't on the buses, they weren't in the clubhouse, and they weren't at the towers. So I'm hoping we didn't do away with these. Today, okay. So maybe in the future, I know we've got some new people. We'll get those out on time. And then if you look at the website, under transportation, where it says newsletter, it's still December 2017. So if you can take that off there and put a more recent one on, that would be helpful as well. The PAR system, plan a ride, it doesn't hurt to call the same day and see if you can get, they can fit you in. I've called 3 times on the same day and got a ride the same day. Yes, the printed material does say for best results, call the day before. I know Brad or someone else mentioned 2 days. You can call up to 7 days ahead of time, but you can call the same day. You never know if there's going to be an opening. However, it's not mandatory to call the same day, just for the best results. So if you are calling on the same day, you would call the main number, 949-597-4659. But if you're calling for the next day or a future ride, then you call, the schedule is 949-268-2590, and that's the difference. So, and then if you live in a manor that is not at your cul-de-sac address, like my address is Villa Buena Vista, and that's 3 blocks from where my manor physically sits. So if you give them your manor number only, and you're one of those people like myself, and there's quite a few thousands of us in here, they have a comment section. Tell them exactly where you're going to be standing. If you're actually going to be standing in front of another building, because that's really where your manor is, give them that street number. Like I say I live on Calle Sonora in front of the blue mailbox. And that's 3 blocks from where my manor number is. So give them the exact location, and then once that's in the comment section, they'll pick you up at the same place all the time, unless, of course, you're at the store or need to be picked up someplace different. So anyway, that concludes my report. Please come tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about those really important issues. And 1:30 here in the boardroom. Thank you.
1:30, okay.
Thank you, Director Troutman. F, report of the Security and Community Access Committee, Director Soul.
Okay, good morning. I just want to say we did not meet in May, and the next meeting is scheduled for June the 28th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. That's a Thursday. And this is the security update for today's GRF board meeting. For gate access, we are still on track to have all permits and contracts in place to begin installation of gate arms and security cameras at gates 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 14 in the months of August and September, or I should say August through September. Residents who have not obtained an RFID decal are encouraged to obtain one for each vehicle. Otherwise, residents will be required to enter through the guest lane once the gates are in place. Aliso fire tracking, I did state it. If you would like, I'll repeat it. Okay, thank you. Contractor parking enforcement. Security personnel will continue to cite all contractor vehicles parked in cul-de-sacs and guest spaces. Contractors are only allowed to park for 10 to 15 minutes in the cul-de-sac to unload equipment and then must move out to the street. Residents will also be cited if they allow contractors to violate this rule. And what that means, I believe, is for them to park in your spot, because then you have to take your vehicle, like if it's your driveway, and park somewhere else. Okay, fire alert device. This topic may be covered. I don't know if it was covered by Judith, I apologize. We are looking into a device that automatically shuts off stove tops in the event of a fire or excessive smoke. We will be coordinating with the maintenance, reviewing costs, and contacting Leisure World Seal Beach, who has a number of these devices installed. That's going on. Now also, I want to talk about mailbox theft investigation. I recommend you keep, I'm trying to keep this general, as this is an active criminal investigation. However, several Garden Villa building mailboxes have been pried open. The sheriff and security are working together to identify the suspect. Residents are encouraged to pick up their mail daily. Have the post office hold your mail if you are going to be out of town. Please do not send or receive cash in the mail. And see something, say something. Please report anyone who looks out of place in the community. All right, that's it for the security update for this month. Again, we will be meeting the last Thursday of the month at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Now, the traffic hearing report.
Okay, traffic hearing report. What we've got is the regular meeting of the Laguna Woods Traffic Committee. The next one will be held on June 21st at 9 o'clock here in the boardroom. Basically, the committee held 40 traffic hearings, and it found 18 individuals guilty and 19 individuals not guilty, and 3 attended traffic school, basically. What we had was there were 274 citations issued. There were 18 fines paid. As I said, 19 were they either voided or suspended. 3 attended traffic school, and there were 40 closed citations. So the percentage of closed citations now is 15%. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Judith, report of disaster preparedness.
Okay, the Disaster Preparedness Task Force met on May 29th, and the task force now meets on the last Tuesday of every month. The task force is comprised of the following members. We meet on the odd months now. So this is the first time we'll be going 2 months before we have another meeting. And the task force is comprised of the following members. If you know, this is the first time we put it on the GRF resolution this morning for assignments, committee assignments, even though it is a task force. It is chaired by Chief Moore, vice chair is Roger Cowdy, and administrative specialist is Debbie Belissaros, and they're all VMSI members. Recording secretary is Judith Troutman, correspondence secretary is Walt Woodley, and there was an opening for treasurer. Those are the officers. Then supporting teams are recruitment, training, and detention is Joan Brown. Board representatives, GRF is represented by Judith Troutman and Jim Juhan. United is represented by Cash Acrobar, Gary Morrison, and alternate Juanita Skillman. Third is represented by John Frankel and Roy Bruninghouse. And Mutual 50 is represented by Inessa Nordsleth. Support for the office is Tom Soul and Kathleen Matthews. Radio operators from our radio club is Jim Rydell and Bruce Bonbright. And members at large are Roberta Brescher, Doug Gibson, Lori Gibson, Janie Durrell, Steve Parsons, and Dorothy Frankel. The task force was created 2 years ago when VMSI, mainly Chief Moore, came on board and discovered that there was a need to update and bring our disaster plan into compliance with state, local, and FEMA standards. It addresses training for threats, fires, earthquakes, floods, storms, energy outages, and other major hazards. To stay prepared, we are in need of more good neighbor building captains. And I believe staff, the TV6 said they had something they can put on the screen, a map. They said they would do it when I gave this briefing. So if you're up there, this is the time. During an emergency, the good neighbor would knock on the door of their neighbors and ask and record any emergency needs that they might have and send that information to your closest clubhouse coordinator. If you go online, there's the map. If you go online to the website, Laguna Woods Village website, as of yesterday, this map is on there, and you go to the disaster preparedness section. This map displays all the buildings that have already been assigned a good neighbor building captain. As you can see from the map, only 1/3 of the community is covered or has been assigned a good neighbor building captain, which is someone that's just willing to knock on a door of a couple of the neighbors to potentially save a life. The information that the good neighbor gathers is the fastest way that our first responders get the message and the information on where to go first. So thank you for that, and you could see, if you zoom in on this, this really is only 1/3 of the manors are covered in both United and Third, and I think United has Third beat. So let's go, Third. So please consider becoming a Good Neighbor Building Captain. You can go to the Disaster Preparedness Office right here on the first floor. You can get more information by calling that office, 949-597-4237, or stop by the office right here on the first floor in the Community Center building. They're open from 10 until noon daily. The next class for Good Neighbor Building Captain Training is September 25th at 2018 at Clubhouse 7 from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon. That's for the Good Neighbor Building Captain Training. Please stop by. You don't have to be in training. If you didn't get a chance to make a reservation at the office, you can just stop in. We have free coffee, tea, and cookies, and listen to the briefing and see if that's something you'd be able to do. There will be also a barbecue for all assigned Good Neighbor Building Captains coming up soon. That's one of the perks that we give. We are also looking to have a Disaster Awareness Day once a quarter, and that would be in addition to the yearly California Shakeout. And it would be in addition, or it would be quarterly, and all task force members and the Good Neighbor Building Captains would wear their yellow vests, which I meant to wear today, during that whole day, wherever you are, to bring awareness to the community. The task force is looking at a device from Fire Avert. This device attaches to your electrical stove, not gas, and will turn the stove off when the fire alarm is triggered. The mutuals will be looking at the feasibility of making these devices available in the DP office, or in United's case, the mutual would buy them for the stoves that their mutual owns. There is more of these devices. However, you can go online and look them up, but you can see how they work. They have insurance benefits if you have one of those installed. They also have them for floods for your electric water heaters or ice-making machines. So, like Annette said, we're looking to improve the community's awareness to prevent problems by looking into those. So please consider volunteering as a Good Neighbor Building Captain in your neighborhood. Working together, we create a culture of preparedness. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Item 15, future agenda items. All matters listed under the future agenda items are resolutions on 30-day public review or items for future board meetings. No action will be taken by the board on these agenda items at this meeting. The board will take action on these items in future board. First one is approve the design and creation of decorative art wall on Clubhouse 4. Discuss and consider golf cart safety training. And C, discuss non-return of ID cards. With that, we'll go on to item 16, director comments. Mr. Mattson first, please.
Been a real good meeting.
Jim Juhan.
The bottom. Yeah.
Ditto. Judith.
Yeah, I just want to say, just for awareness, last month, Jim and I both had birthdays in May, and at my age of 70, we don't need any more knickknacks. And so one of the things I did is I asked my friends and family, no gifts, just donate to my favorite charity, which happened to be Wounded Warriors. And as of yesterday, I'm still getting notices from Wounded Warriors. Donations of over $900 have already been donated just for my birthday in my name. And so if you're thinking about having an anniversary or birthday, you might want to consider having everyone pick either their favorite charity or one that you favor. And so I'm real pleased about that. Thank you, all my friends and family, for doing that.
Thank you, Judith. Beth?
I want to say thank you to all the folks that came up and to the open forum and thanked all of us. It really felt good to the positivity this morning. It was really nice. Thank you, and a good meeting. Thanks.
Mr. Palmer?
No comment.
Annette?
Good meeting, John. Thank you.
Bert?
I think I want to add discussion on a little bit of information on what's happening with energy, since it hadn't been introduced at all. There's a recommendation that will be coming before this board to approve the selected consultant, which we had basically been involved in the appropriation of a maximum expenditure of $50,000. The Energy Committee, the third Energy Committee, which we have been participating in, will be meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Cypress Room.
Wasn't that
And
changed to
two
1?
important
Oh,
items.
9:30.
Two important items will be discussed. Okay, the first will be changing the committee's structure to one of a committee to become a task force. And the three corporations, basically United, Third, and GRF, will be participating on that task force. In addition, there's some discussion that we are pursuing about adding the city, because by being a member or being part of the city entitles us to a lot of things that we would not normally get as corporations. So we would like the city to join us, and we will be encouraging them to do so. Secondly, each corporation has been asked to submit their wish list with regard to the type of things they would like that consultant to be investigating. And that wish list will be presented to the consultant, and we will be asking for an approximation of cost for such investigations. So that's what's happening in Energy tomorrow, and I wish you all a very happy National Moonshine Day.
Okay, Bert, do you have someone from the city coming to that meeting tomorrow?
Do I?
Have you invited someone from the city to come to that meeting tomorrow?
Yes, and he's not going to make it tomorrow.
Okay, so,
He's already told us that.
but maybe a city council member or somebody can, okay, we can ask his wife.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be nice.
I would also ask, in regards to the wish list, that you consult with the directors, with all of the
I
directors.
think I sent you the list back in May 20, yeah, in an email.
If you did,
In an email.
I must have missed it. I was just suggesting that you discuss it with all of the directors, that's all.
Yeah.
The wish list. Okay, thank you. Joan?
Thanks to everybody for coming and giving your comments and staying alert to what's happening here in the community. And we hope that some of you will join us as members of the board in the future, near future, on all the mutuals. So thanks again.
My only comment is, again, thanks to the people for participating. Thanks to the wonderful work that these board members do every day on behalf of the residents.
One additional thing, I'd like to thank Jim and Cynthia for the gift that they provided to members of the board.
Thanks to all of you. This meeting is adjourned. Recessed.
Thank you.